everybody. Welcome back to the Composition of Imagination. I am your host and author, Stevie Jo, and this is the show where we just talk about everything Angel of Death, which is my book series. We do everything from characters to plot to locations, you name it, we talk about it. And with me today are two of my book guardians, Superman over here and Moosey over here. And last week, we talked all about Elias Luck and his kind of character development throughout in the beginning, which is the first book of the series. Today, we're going to start building on that with False Idols, the second book in the series. So be sure you go back, watch last week's videos. That way you kind of know where he's been so that it makes sense of where he is now. So in False Idols, the very first time we see Eli, considerably earlier than in the beginning, we see him in chapter 3. He's getting ready for church, and we see this kind of cute little prep on his part. We won't go into all the nitty-gritty details, but there are some things of note in this chapter. First of all, it's been a year since book 1, so that's our time jump here. Eli has changed a little bit physically. His hair is now shoulder length, his beard is fuller, but he still keeps it kind of clipped a little close. It's just fuller now. Yeah. Secondly, Eli notes when he's like thinking to himself and everything, he is slowly learning that life does not have to be a business transaction thanks to the time that he has been spending with Sky over the last year. He's also learning to soften and stop closing himself off so easily. And I say that by saying he's learning. He's not perfected it. He's just learning. Those are two really tough lessons for him because he feels like he has to draw a hard and fast line at having a romantic relationship with Sky. So he's kind of walking a delicate balance here. Why do you think, first question out of the gate, why do you think Eli has always treated life like a business transaction? And how difficult do you think it is for him to change that way of thinking?
He's been alive for centuries. So, living life like you and I would, that's a whole nother generation.
Yeah.
And so he's been burned so many times, mostly probably because of his mistakes, that he looks at it now and sees it what life is.
Yeah.
Is a series of transactions.
Yeah. Okay.
That's pretty much my answer. Just he's been around the block so many times.
Yeah.
That's just how it is with him.
How hard do you think it has been for him to try to learn this lesson of not doing it that way, like Sky's trying to teach him? Do you think he's a little resistant to it just because of his nature? Or do you think he's a little resistant to it because he's afraid that will force him to cross that imaginary line?
It ain't an imaginary line. It's a real line. It's kind of funny because the way he says that about, he's learning to soften and stuff, when he never really came across as, this really cold and calculating person. So that's an interesting tell. Yeah. That shows another layer of his personality, that he thinks that everything's a business transaction and that showing softness is akin to weakness.
Yeah. Which I think happens with some guys where they don't like to be.
The way he's introduced in book 1, he doesn't sound like the egotistical.
Yeah. So he's really kind of telling on himself here. He's being like, this is kind of who I have been. You just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Eli makes his way to Sky's house, and it is notable that he's allowed to just walk on in and make himself at home. Something that we know for a fact no one else in her life is allowed to do. So he really must mean something special to her. And while he waits on her to come downstairs from getting ready, he introspects something that we haven't really heard before. Eli knows for a fact that no other mythic is like Skylar. He says no other mythic exists in this world like her. Being born to 2 human parents was a feat really in and of itself. And now he can sense some kind of power deep within her that she hasn't accessed yet, because he says that. What do you think that power is?
Oh my God.
And is Eli the only creature who can sense it? Ooh, something, just a light bulb went off. Like, I saw the bright light just all of a sudden.
We've kind of talked about this a little bit, but maybe the power we're talking about, because you bring up a good point. She had 2 human parents, and yet she's the most powerful mythic. She potentially could be the Earth Guardian and not realize it.
Huh.
Power deep within her that she doesn't even realize she has and has not tapped into.
Yeah.
2 human parents. Shouldn't have any power whatsoever. I understand the genetic mutation, but being that powerful to basically muggles.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yes, she is the Hermione to this series almost.
But at the same time, she's not aware.
Yeah.
At all. So maybe, and as we talked about in book 1, hey, this Guardian, where is it?
Yeah.
That very well. I mean, I know we've talked about it with Sky before.
Yeah.
But looking at it from that point of view,
from Eli's perspective,
very much could be.
That's why we break these characters down like this, because we see things that may have just been overlooked. So I don't know. That could be a possibility.
I guess she's stirring the pot. She knows exactly how this is playing out.
Exactly.
She's just sitting there kind of dangling the carrot in front of us to see who jumps.
And my questions may or may not lead you in the right direction. I may just be misleading you. Well, Sky finally does come downstairs, and Eli absolutely just lights up when he sees her. And her altered appearance...
So that's what they call it these days.
Yeah. So her altered appearance from the last year is proof that he kept his word. He helped her channel that ancient magic that he talked about in the first book, and she has transformed her scars into body art. They have a little playful flirtation that makes his heart pump a little fast, and he's like, okay, hold on, I need some fresh air. And then they head to church. Yeah. And then they head to church. In chapter 4, he sits with her in the front row of the newly added mezzanine, because remember, she almost destroyed that thing. You know, they don't really pay much attention to the sermon. They're just there for support for Noel. They're busy communicating telepathically like they do, and getting in on the church gossip and all that good stuff. Sky starts a small fire to prevent her father from showboating his family, because let's be real, that's what he's doing. And Eli evacuates her out of the church and into the parking lot. And that takes us to chapter 5. This is the first time we really get to see a lengthy interaction between them in this book, to see kind of how they've transitioned over the last year. So during the last couple chapters, really it's just been glances and short, quiet moments. But when they're in the parking lot amid the chaos, Eli doesn't scold her for causing such an uproar in the church.
In a way, he's kind of laughing about it.
Exactly. Instead, like you said, he just teases her about it. And he's like, you know, for once, I'd like to hear that closing prayer. And when she tells him, well, sorry, dude, I guess you'll have to come back whenever I'm not here. He's like, not worth it. Then I guess I'll never hear it. So my question here kind of goes back to a question I asked in the last video from last week, which I will probably keep asking this as we dissect his personality and motives, because it is an important question. Does Elias have an ulterior motive here? Instead of stopping Sky from causing panic and damage to the church, thereby alienating herself even more, he just lets her do it and then teases her afterwards. So why do you think that is? If he wants to protect her, shouldn't he keep her on the straight and narrow?
No. He enjoyed... for him, that was kind of a release to sit there and just watch her have a little fun. Because really, even though it was meant to be a distraction, it was her just sitting there having a little fun because she was bored out of her mind.
Yes, she was.
And so he could have stopped her and got to that closing prayer. But he's like, you know what? She's having fun. She didn't burn the place down.
She didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah, nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Peyton's having a fit. Well...
Too bad, so sad.
Guess what? Nothing new there.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of sitting back and going, okay, yeah, let's...
Okay.
He can't protect her 24/7.
He likes to think he can, kind of.
But, like, he can't, like, outright control her. Like, it's not like she is on
he can't pull an Ezra.
Yeah. So see, that's a good point that you bring up, because that's the defining line.
He's above that.
Yeah, that's the defining line between him and Ezra, where it's like, you stoop to this low level, but I refuse.
That ain't me, man.
Yeah.
That ain't me.
As they linger outside, waiting for the all clear from the fire department and everything, Sky brings them into what is called focus, where they just are in this isolated little bubble that, no one else can get into, and they can only see and hear each other. We know for a fact, because it is stated, Elias cannot do this. This is not a power he has.
He can be pulled into it, but he cannot manifest it himself.
Correct.
Yes.
Why do you think that is? Does that mean that Sky is stronger than him ultimately?
Not necessarily. There might be I would say quirks to being a mythic. You might know these three things versus what Elias knows. And maybe Elias may have known it back in the day, and like you always say, use it or lose it. But it might have been something that he really... It wasn't a value-added type of thing.
Yeah, it wasn't something he was like, I could do this, but why?
But, what do I need this for? So that's the thing.
I don't think that's in his realm of magic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if he recognized it, then I would say it was a use it or lose it. There's no real illusion that he ever did it or ever used it.
Okay. So. Well, while they're in this little focus bubble, as we'll call it, they share an intimate gaze, and he touches her cheek, and they held hands and all that stuff. Just kind of towing that line. And they feel a very soft spark flicker between them, but it goes away when, of course, they hear James bitching about how Sky is a menace to the county. And Elias totally pulls a Michael Jordan meme and takes that personally. So they break focus, and he confronts James about chastising Sky that way, when in fact James is the one making them out to be the bad guy. And of course that erupts into a pissing contest, and Sky and Peyton come close to fighting in the parking lot. Wow. Eli helps calm Sky down with a little kiss on the curve of her neck and some words whispered telepathically, which we don't get to hear. And he tries to keep her from hurting the few family members who still care about her. And then they slip away amid Peyton's sobbing fit. So why do you think he would stop her from being vicious in this moment, but not in the church? Which is what started this whole thing in the first place. If he would have stopped her from setting the little fire in the church, this wouldn't have happened. So why stop her now? Why not let her just keep going?
Honestly, because it was what James said. And really I kind of laughed because I could see either Elias or Sky sit there because, they are standing on a gravel road outside the church.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Shing! And you see a rock come flying, hit James in the head, knocks his ass straight to the ground, unconscious, possibly killed him. But, just as do you realize who you're screwing with?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. that's the most frustrating thing, and I think that's another reason why Elias took it personally.
Yeah.
Because James runs off at the mouth because I'm a human, I'm a Jericho,
and I'm a pure human.
And it's like, you have no effing power.
Yeah.
We both, standing here, could literally make you disappear.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there dogging your granddaughter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because she's different from you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, if Elias had walked up and just socked the crap out of him,
no one would blame him.
No would not even say, he'd be like, do it to it, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say just trying to let her vent, even though it's mass destruction, somewhat. We know.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah.
Even though it's mass destruction, we know no one's really getting hurt or anything. Things can be
from
rebuilt.
The church thing where she did the little small fire. Yeah.
Things can be rebuilt and everything like that. But I don't know ultimately, other than just him somehow knowing that it's not going to be disastrous.
Okay.
On a catastrophe level.
Okay. Well, as I said, Eli takes Sky to his shiny black and gold Corvette that he has since Ezra destroyed his Porsche. And they drive back to Sky's place. And on the drive, she comments that, well, at least she finally got to hear that closing prayer. Was it everything you thought it could be? And Elias makes the comment, if he had known that God was in a giving mood, he would have asked for something more precious. So what does this mean? Is he just being flirtatious here, or is there something else that he's referring to?
He might be referring to, the chance to be able to actually have a real relationship with Sky.
That's a valid point.
Hey, maybe it's part of the deal.
The deal with a capital D.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty much the former.
Okay. So you think it's just being that coy little what they've been doing? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Only time
Beating
will
around
tell.
the bush.
Yeah, in the worst way. So that does it for this week, for today's video. Thank you both for contributing, and thank all of you for watching. We'll be back later on this week with more Murmurs of Mur County, focusing on Elias in Book 2. So be sure that you subscribe and tune in. We love you, and we'll see you later this week.
Catch up on the Angel of Death series today. The first 4 entries are now available directly at StevieJoAuthor.com.